My wife said, I think we should
Wait,
open our
please
relationship, but only on my side.
Leave me alone.
Cheating
Hey,
revenge
what
story.
is going on here?
Open the relationship, she said. But the words that followed shattered everything I thought I knew about my marriage. I'm David, 39, a mechanical engineer who has spent most of his adult life building stability from nothing. My wife, Claire, was the center of that stability. Married for 12 years, we had endured layoffs, miscarriages, and even moving in with her parents for a year just to get back on our feet. We survived all of it, or at least, I thought we had. 2 months ago, on a quiet Sunday afternoon, Claire looked at me across the kitchen table and dropped the bomb. I've been thinking. I want to open our relationship. But only on my side. You're too busy with work, and I don't want you distracted. This would be healthier. I laughed at first, thinking she was joking. But her eyes weren't smiling. They were cold, calculating. That's when my chest tightened. Healthier? For who, Claire? I asked, my voice flat. For both of us, she said too quickly. You'll have peace. I'll have freedom. We both win. No. It wasn't a win. It was her announcing that I was now a placeholder while she played wife only when it suited her. I didn't scream. I didn't throw a fit. I've learned from life's harder lessons that control is the sharpest weapon in any fight. Instead, I leaned back and nodded. All right, I said slowly. But if we're doing this, we need boundaries. Transparency. Rules. Her shoulders relaxed. She thought I was agreeing. She didn't see that I'd just moved the first piece on a chessboard she didn't even know existed. The following week, Claire started her open relationship. Late nights at the gym. Work team dinners on weekdays. Weekend yoga retreats with girlfriends I couldn't verify. Her perfume changed. Her wardrobe shifted from casual jeans to skin-tight dresses. And her phone became her most precious possession, always face down, always locked, and always within reach. One evening, as she showered, her phone buzzed on the counter. A preview popped up before the lock screen dimmed. Can't wait for round 2 tonight, winking face, M. My blood went cold. Not only was she cheating, she was sloppy about it. But instead of storming into the bathroom and confronting her, I slipped into my study and opened my laptop. I already had monitoring software I'd once used to protect my business files. Installing it on her phone would take 10 minutes tops when she left it charging at night. The next day, I had her texts, emails, and location history. Her open relationship was actually a one-sided affair with a man named Mark Jensen, a 41-year-old fitness trainer she'd met 6 months earlier. The same man who'd been texting her while I paid bills, cooked dinners, and kept our house running. What cut deeper than the betrayal was the arrogance. Claire hadn't asked for an open relationship. She demanded a license to cheat without consequences. She wanted me compliant while she destroyed everything we had built. That's when I decided I wasn't going to stop her. I was going to watch. Record. And when the time was right, I'd destroy everything she thought she controlled. To build patience, you need purpose. My purpose became gathering every thread of her deception. I tracked her messages, dinners, hotels, cash withdrawals. I traced her Venmo payments to Mark IV, personal training, thinly veiled excuses. I even watched their selfies together at a hotel bar 2 cities away. She wasn't even clever about hiding it. Meanwhile, at home, I played my role flawlessly. Loving husband. Supportive partner. The man who smiled when she claimed she was helping her friend move apartments late at night. She thought she was playing me. She didn't realize I was already 3 steps ahead. Because I knew something Mark didn't, Claire had access to my business accounts, my personal investments, even the deed to our house. She thought she'd walk away one day with money, reputation, and freedom. But with the right legal strings pulled, with the right timing, I could make sure she left with nothing but ashes. The first phase of revenge is silence. And silence, when sharpened by knowledge, is lethal. Cross the quiet of our living room, sharp, sudden, impossible to ignore. "I'm sleeping with Jake tonight," she said, calm as if confessing what she had for breakfast. She slid the divorce papers across the table like a bill she expected me to pay, her smile practiced and cold. 48 hours, she said. "Pack your things. My new boyfriend owns this house now." I didn't yell. I didn't beg. I didn't even blink. I smiled, small, tight, and meaningless to anyone who hadn't seen what came after. She took that as victory. She'd just given me the moment I'd been waiting for, the second I stopped being her husband and became her reckoning. We had built that house, or at least I thought we had. Late nights, second jobs, corners cut to keep the mortgage current. I left my sweat on those beams, patched the leaks myself, laid the floorboards with my own hands. Every plank carried my fingerprints. She used to admire my stubbornness, how I could fix anything. Turns out she was right about one thing: I could fix anything, even betrayal. For 12 years I gave her everything: loyalty, patience, a steadiness she depended on, and under my roof she gave herself to someone else. I should have seen it sooner: the late nights with friends, the sudden craving for privacy, the phone face down like contraband. But the clue that finally cut through came one morning: the faint curl of cologne on the sheets that wasn't mine. The kind of careless mistake arrogant men make when they already think they've won. I didn't explode. I didn't confront. I watched. I catalogued. I followed patterns, audited bank statements, tracked phone logs. Piece by piece I built a picture that was sharp enough to slice open denial. Her boyfriend wasn't some nameless shadow. He was rich and arrogant, the type who thought buying what he wanted erased the past, who believed a deed transfer could write over my family history. He thought money could buy him a throne in my life. He was about to learn that money doesn't buy wisdom. While she fell for his wallet, I was quietly preparing for the inevitable. Years earlier I'd set that house into a trust in my name, quietly, discreetly. On paper she had a share, but I held the strings. She trusted me with the details and never asked. Good choice on her part, just not the one she expected. I spent days assembling evidence: emails, texts, pictures, and a tidy accounting of marital funds funneled into weekend getaways and secret suites. I organized everything into a folder for my lawyer and waited, patient as a snake in the grass. When she theatrically handed me those divorce papers, she thought the clock had started. She believed 48 hours was my limit. The truth was 48 hours was exactly what I needed. First move, quiet and surgical: an injunction filed to freeze the deed transfer before the boyfriend's signature could mean anything. He swaggered in thinking the house was his, the legal knots I'd set tightened like a net he couldn't see. Second move, financial precision. I emptied joint accounts into protected lines, leaving overdraft notices to sing their hollow song. Every withdrawal was lawful, documented, and airtight. Third move, personal. I slipped a single envelope into the boyfriend's mailbox, a collection of texts showing that she'd been keeping another player on the board. She wasn't just trading me for him, she'd been playing multiple hands. I didn't raise my voice. I let paperwork and silence do the work. By the time the 48 hours expired, the dirt beneath her feet had started to slide. The reckoning arrived on a Sunday. He turned up with boxes, puffed up like a man at a coronation, convinced he'd claimed new land. She clung to his arm, a smile pasted over triumph, as if I'd already been erased. Then she saw me, calm and collected in the doorway, my lawyer beside me and the table laid with documents, frozen assets, proof of ownership, photographs, messages. I didn't shout. I didn't need to. Before you unpack, I said, measured, you may want to read what you actually bought. At first his face confused, then blank with dawning realization, then a howl of rage. He waved papers, spat accusations, tried to turn and blame. She reached for him, but he pulled away, the illusion of partnership cracking as quickly as brittle glass. The house turned colder by the minute, her empire collapsed even before she stepped fully inside. He slammed the door, leaving her alone in the ruins of her own lies. She looked at me then, wide-eyed, the practiced lines of her face gone slack. You planned this, she whispered. I looked at her, really looked, and the woman I'd loved for years was gone. In her place stood someone small and greedy, stripped of pretense. I didn't plan this, I said softly. You did. I simply finished what you started. Her lips trembled but no words came, eloquence deserts those whose choices have cornered them. By the end of the week, he was gone and the house remained mine. She was left with debts, whispers, and a single key turned over to storage. I moved her things out, posted the storage receipt, and never looked back. People asked later if I regretted being cold, if I should have fought harder for the marriage. Regret belongs to those who lose. I didn't lose. She handed me divorce papers thinking she'd written the last chapter of my life, not realizing I still held the pen. When her new boyfriend crossed that threshold, he didn't just discover he'd made a mistake. He walked into a story where I get the last word. Claire's arrogance grew in direct proportion to my patience. 2 weeks after she floated the idea of openness, she started canceling our date nights entirely. Mark's gym is running a new late boot camp, she explained with a smile. She didn't even bother to hide the satisfaction in her voice. I just nodded, kissed her cheek, and told her to have fun. Every nod, every kiss, every calm reaction was fuel for the storm I was building. Through my surveillance, I pieced together Mark's profile. Divorced twice. Heavy debts. A trail of failed businesses and unpaid taxes. He wasn't just a trainer, he was a leech who preyed on lonely women. Claire wasn't his first. She probably wouldn't be his last. But she would be his most costly mistake. I reached out to an old friend, Michael, a PI I'd hired years ago to track down a supplier who'd been skimming off my business accounts. Michael still owed me a favor. Within a week, he had Mark's full financial and legal history, photographs of him with Claire, and even audio recordings from bugged hotel rooms. What did those recordings reveal? Claire wasn't just having an affair, she was feeding Mark information about my finances. He's got a nest egg somewhere, she whispered in one clip. If I can get him to move it into a joint account, we could disappear. Disappear. With my money. My life. My stability. I clenched my jaw as I listened. My wife hadn't just betrayed me emotionally or physically. She was plotting to rob me blind. Good. Now I had everything I needed. Phase 2 of my plan, financial isolation. With my accountant's help, I created a new corporation and moved my assets into it under the guise of restructuring. The business remained under my name, but Claire's access was cut off without her realizing it. Bank accounts drained into new ones. Credit cards cancelled and reissued. Investment portfolios liquidated and reinvested offshore. To Claire, everything looked normal until the moment it wouldn't. I also began building a paper trail that showed Claire's growing absence from our marriage. Missed events, unexplained expenses, transfers to Mark's account. The goal was clear: when divorce proceedings began, she would look like the negligent, unfaithful spouse she truly was. But I wasn't done yet. Because destroying her legally wasn't enough. I wanted her to feel the weight of humiliation. The opportunity came when Claire asked to host a dinner party for a few of our mutual friends. "It'll be good for us," she said sweetly, "to show everyone we're thriving." I agreed. Smiled. Even helped her cook. But before the first guest arrived, I set up a small projector in my office, linked to my phone. When dinner was nearly over, I excused myself, dimmed the lights in the living room, and called for everyone's attention. "Before dessert, I want to show you all something important," I said. The screen lit up with photographs. Claire, hand in hand with Mark. Claire, kissing him outside a hotel. Claire, whispering across a table while Mark's hand rested on her thigh. The room fell silent except for her gasping breaths. Her wine glass shattered on the floor. "David, please," she stammered. But I wasn't looking at her. I was looking at our friends, our witnesses, as they watched the carefully curated illusion of Claire crumble in real time. "She told me she wanted an open relationship," I explained calmly. "But only on her side. I thought our friends deserved to know what kind of honesty she meant." The silence that followed was worth every sleepless night. Claire ran from the room. Some friends followed her. Most didn't. And as the door closed behind them, I knew I'd just shifted the battlefield to my advantage. After the dinner party, Claire's world began to collapse. Her friends, once loyal, started pulling back. Our families heard whispers. Even her own sister stopped defending her after seeing the evidence. But the worst was yet to come. Mark, realizing I was aware of him, grew paranoid. He began pressuring Claire to move faster, to push me harder for money, to abandon subtlety. Their texts became frantic, desperate. And then came the one message that sealed both of their fates. "If he won't give it willingly, find a way to force it. Otherwise, we're done." Force it. I didn't know if he meant blackmail or worse, but it didn't matter. I already had everything documented. I scheduled a private meeting with my lawyer, delivering a folder of evidence so thick it looked like a criminal case file. Texts. Photos. Audio clips. Bank transfers. Enough to not only crush Claire in divorce court but also implicate Mark in financial misconduct and conspiracy. "David," my lawyer said slowly, flipping through the file. "This is airtight. By the time we're done, she won't get a dime." That was the goal. The final act unfolded faster than even I expected. I filed for divorce citing adultery, with documented proof attached. The petition landed in Claire's inbox the same week she tried to move $20,000 from our joint account, an account I had already drained and flagged with the bank. Instead of money, she triggered an alert that froze her access entirely. She screamed at me that night, her mask finally breaking. "You can't do this to me, David. I gave you the best years of my life." "No," I said coldly. "You rented them out to Mark. and now the lease is over. The legal battle dragged for 3 months, but every hearing went in my favor. Claire's affair wasn't just exposed, it was dissected, analyzed, and entered into permanent record. The judge awarded me the house, my businesses, and sole ownership of all assets. Claire walked away with nothing but a battered reputation and mounting legal bills. As for Mark, my PI shared his findings with a few of Mark's creditors. Within weeks, debt collectors swarmed him, his gym shut down, and his car was repossessed. Last I heard, he left town overnight, abandoning Claire in the process. She tried contacting me once, months later. A shaky voicemail. I made mistakes. Please, can we talk? I deleted it without reply. Today, I live in the same house Claire once planned to steal from me, but it no longer feels like a battlefield. I rebuilt my life with discipline, with clarity, and most importantly, with peace. Claire wanted an open relationship. What she got was an open display of consequences. Because some men, when betrayed, don't just endure. They awaken. And once awake, they never let themselves be stolen from again.